Hey, this is Gene. The day after one of the best wins under Ruben Amorim. I just want to talk about why I think we won that game and why fans and even analysts just don't really understand how to understand what football actually is. And then I want to talk a little bit about there's commentators in the United States with their money Morgan quarterbacking going on right now, basically saying we didn't deserve to win yesterday, that we were lucky because we were under the cosh and all that stuff. So I'm going to talk all that stuff. And I know a lot of people don't talk or watch a lot of my stuff about Manchester United, but I'm still going to go and say what I got to say. First of all, when the lineup came out, I wasn't upset. I said it in my video yesterday. I said I understand and I didn't understand. And then after thinking about it and realizing the type of game we got to play at Liverpool, we were never going to be able to play a high line against them because people wanted De Ligt to play and Euro to play, put De Ligt in the center, and then you got Euro in there and maybe Mazarawi, and then be able to press them to the halfway line. Part of the systems that he has. But after thinking about it, we kind of knew what was going to happen in that game, that they were going to come out because they'd lost 3 in a row in all competitions, and they were going to be on the front foot. And we played players that are used to that, to where we just soak up the pressure and get them on the break. And those players like Shaw and Maguire have always excelled in those type of situations. And it's why we finished second under Ole with that. And we finished in the top 4 under different managers because those players are good at that. And when you think about it now, you're like, and you also got De Ligt who can do both. And you understand that was probably the right thing to do all along because we knew that they were going to come out and definitely did it well in the second half. They were just all on top of us, but still not really pressuring us. Now, they did hit the post a couple times. I want to talk about that and the narrative going around now that we got away with it. All right. There were many times in the past that we went somewhere, and there was a game years ago. I think we finished 0-0, and we had a chance to win again Anfield. I think they had like 20 shots. We had 1. Those are type of things that we get away with it, right? We had 12 shots. We had 2 goals. Bruno hit the post. We had other good chances to score. They had as well in the second half. They had their own chances, and of course, Gakpo almost had a couple goals in the first half. And I'm going to talk about that as well. Now, this is why when I said on my thing after the game, we have to step back and say, this manager is going to die based on what he believes, right? Or what he sees in training every day and how he looks at the game he's going to play next. And he devised a system that worked for him. And people online, people in the United States, people like Rodney Marsh basically said, he didn't call him Ruben Amorim, he called it Ruben Interim. So he's been doing this forever. Now, Ruben doesn't have a great record to say shut the fuck up to him, but he said, good, they went out, they actually changed. They went to a 5-4-1. And I'm like, this guy played football for 20 years, 30 years, and he's a pundit now. He's older, he's in his 70s, almost 80 now. I loved him as a player when he played for the Rowdies in Tampa Bay. But he always said that this system, if we're playing a team like Liverpool, you're probably going to have 5 in the back. And we didn't have 1 up front. That's not how we played at all. We did hit the ball to the middle there to get the second ball, but all of our 3 players was in their side of the field. It's not like we just hooked it up to the number 9. There were 3 players in their side of the field that we tried to do it. And somebody called it that we played the donut midfield. And we kind of did that. We went over the midfield and we just waited for the second ball. We knew that Van Dijk and Cunha or whatever the fuck his name, not Cunha, Kunate was going to get their heads on the ball, and we waited for our quicker players to get the second ball. And we did that, and we caused them problems. In fact, I think the first goal came from that Van Dijk went through his own player, McAllister, hit him with his own player because he tried to get the ball out of there, and it came to Bruno, I think, and he passes it to Ahmad, and Ahmad puts it into Brian, and he puts it in. And then, of course, everybody's like, it should have been stopped. And Stephen Housen talked about this. He said there's nothing in the rule book that says if you're hit in the head that they have to stop the game. It says if it's a serious injury, you have to stop the game. The coach or the official didn't think it was, and he could allow the player to play. There were 9 other games or eight other guys that were on the pitch that didn't do anything like that. They didn't stop it. And the goalkeeper probably should have stopped that shot anyway. He didn't. And we go on. And then people like Mark Goldbridge is out there that should have been stopped. And he's quoting a rule that he's not right. That's not right. We don't just stop the game because somebody gets hit in the head. It has to be a serious injury before you stop the game. And at that point, apparently, the PGMOL came out and said he didn't see it. I don't understand how did they ask Oliver on the pitch, because it came out like 5 minutes later that he didn't see it. Did he talk to the PGMOL on his phone there? And he's like, yeah, I didn't see it. And you can see these little things that looks like he saw it. I think I don't think he saw that it was an injury. He saw that the actual challenge between McAllister and I don't know who it was up front. I think it might have been, I don't know, it might have been Mubambo. I didn't see that their own player, Van Dijk, beat the shit him in the back of his head. He probably didn't see that part of it. But anyway, and then everybody online is like, he was rooting for Manchester United before the game even started. We're like, oh shit, we're not going to get anything out of him. It's like, okay. So anyway, getting back to these type of people, especially in the United States, we have the football show that's in the morning. We have the grungy pundits, and that's what Marsh is usually with. But this morning, they're like saying that, well, it was Manchester United's Super Bowl for us to go in there. That's going to be the biggest game we're going to have all year. Oh, that for a single game, it might be. But it's like, and we're going to be just dealing with the relegation. And the guy that said this likes to bang on Ruben and the team all the time. He thinks he's a funny comedian, and he supports West Ham, who've not done anything in a billion years. They did win the Conference League, I think. So it's not, you can say what you want to say, but they make it sound like, well, this is the best thing they'll ever do. And it's their best thing ever. And, they showed up for that game. And I'm thinking to myself, other than Brentford, I think, every game, and part is the second half against City, we have been in every game. If Bruno makes those 2 penalties, we're probably only 2 or 3 points away from the top of the league. That's the absolute truth of it. And at this point, I'm just going to say at the end of the day, we'll see who ends up higher, Liverpool or Manchester United, because Liverpool has problems. They absolutely do. With their left side of the defense with Van Dijk and Zirks, whatever the fuck his name is, we just destroyed them, and we should have scored 3 goals in the first half. And what really upsets me is these guys going to say, well, Salah should have scored and Gakpo should have a hat trick. And I'm like, we should have been up 3-0. Maybe if Gakpo gets that one off, it doesn't go in, it doesn't hit the post, it goes in. But if you see at the replay, it looks like to me that Lemons puts his hand back because I think he thinks that it's wide. I think he's got it covered. I actually do. And I think that would have been a very bad thing if it went in. A couple of the other ones, maybe he couldn't get to. But again, as I was saying before, and why we can analyze it as fans, as supporters, and all that stuff. But now you understand why he's the coach. When you really step back and say, what's going to happen? They're going to come after us. We can't play the high line. So I'm not going to put De Ligt there, Euro, and Mazraoui. Mazraoui just came from injury. But let's say they were all healthy. I'm not going to do it because they've lost 3 in a row, and they're going to come out at home at Anfield. They're going to come out after us, and we can't get killed over the top. We just can't do it. He says, well, who would I want to bring in then? Well, I want experience. And Shaw's played in Anfield, and so has Maguire has played in there. And then De Ligt can do both things. And it's probably the right decision. It turned out to be the right decision. And and then of course we didn't have a number 9 per se, but we had a guy that could actually carry the ball all the way into their side and continually put them under pressure. It's not like we went there, got 2 chances, and we scored. We had 12 shots on goal. We had a couple times if we just would have passed it, and I'm going to talk about Cunha because that's my big issue with him. And Ahmad just totally changed. He actually was passing the ball, and he played really well yesterday. And unfortunately, that he got that yellow, which it shouldn't have been. It's like be like, oh yeah, everything happened against Liverpool. He gets a good tackle, and they give him a yellow for it. Anyway, so you got to give him his flowers for that, and you got to give the players the flowers. Now again, we play on Saturday. Brighton will not be easy. Um, it won't make any difference if we don't win that game. We have to be a fortress at home. We have to win every game. Um, we didn't beat Arsenal, but a game we should have won. And I mean, when you really look at the season, if you're going to sit there and say, if you're a Liverpool fan or you're just somebody on the TV or on the radio this morning saying that we got away with it, just think about how many games or how many points we've lost when games that we dominated. If you look at the XG, and I don't like looking at statistics, but we definitely should have beat Arsenal. Their goalkeeper saved them. And if Bruno does what he's supposed to do, and again, it is what it is, right, at this point. And it's like karma happens in football. The first 5 games of the season, Liverpool went undefeated. And they played shit pretty much the entire of that, but they won these games. And now they've lost 4 in a row, 3 in the Premiership. And they're losing these type of games now. And I think that you can't sit there and complain about everything. I mean, Slot came out after the game saying that we throw the ball down. Well, we did that against Sunderland, who's probably going to be relegated, maybe. And we did that against them. And we're trying to figure out a way to because we know that the weakness that we have is the midfield as far as getting the ball around and passing it. So if you put Sesko in there, he can hold the ball up, knock it down to the 210s, and we go from there. All we did yesterday is that Cunha would get the ball and he would run to their side. Or we just wait for them to hit the ball back once the ball was in the air, and we just would get to the ball. And that was clearly tactical. And why don't we just give the manager some credit for what he did? But guys like this, well, it's a 5-4-1. No, it was his same system, 3-4-3, and he tweaked it. You go back further back, you get the 5 in the back, and then when they're attacking, then you have 4 in the midfield. Those guys come together. That's how you normally play. Most every team that goes to Anfield does the same shit. And in the days when we were dominant, they would do it to us, and we would end up losing these games. We'd have 25 shots, and we'd end up losing or get a draw or something like that. But just talk about Ruben, give him his flowers, but he has to continue this continued winning streak. We have to beat Brighton. What we saw yesterday was progress. We outplayed them for large parts of that game until they had to throw everything on to get more things. And we just clearly, as most people do, we went forward, back to defend. And we've done this before. People say we don't ever hold out. We do. There are a lot of times we've held out. We did against Arsenal and went to penalties and won that. And many times we've done this in the past against City, against Liverpool, at home, at Chelsea, places like that. We've done this, and those players have done it. And when I said Maguire and Shaw have been in those games, those teams for years now, doing stuff like that, and people were talking about. When you think about, and I said yesterday that Maguire is now a modern day football legend for Manchester United, from the 2000s, 2010s, 2015. Let's say 2015 to 25, he is clearly a legend for that time frame. Now, we didn't win the championship, but he was one of the reasons why we probably didn't win the Europa League final. He was hurt, and then he was dominant that year, and we played the same type of system that we kind of played against Liverpool yesterday. and we beat people on the break. And we had these really fast dudes. But what we have now is just a little. Our players are a little bit better, more talented. They can do stuff. Mount was immense yesterday. So this idea that he came from, it's a redemption for him because he missed the sitter last year and he won it this year. But when these guys come out there and no one's saying that Slot should be any type of pressure at all, and they've been doing it since day one against Ruben Amorim, and some of it's deserved. And the other thing that's very important is that most Manchester United analysts, supporters that get on this video or on YouTube will say, we didn't deserve that. Even if we'd have beat Brentford, I would have come out and said, we probably didn't deserve that. If they went down to 10 men and he made the penalty and we got the third goal, I would have came on there and I said it after the game. We didn't deserve anything, but I would have took it. Right now, everybody's just caping for Liverpool, and Liverpool's lost 4 in a row. And I think they've only scored 2 goals most in any game. They have not been good all year. And of course I was concerned. And that, I could tell you, that team that first half, it should have been done. It should have been 3-0. We dominated them in that first half. And of course they're going to come back. They got yelled at halftime, and they played well. But still, they didn't do a whole lot. They got close and things. There've been better siege defensive master strokes in the past for Manchester United. Several guys that have come to Old Trafford when we were really, really good that could do stuff like that and got out of there with a point or won the game. When was it Portsmouth in the FA Cup? We dominated that game and lost 1-0, and then they won the FA Cup, and I think they got relegated that year. And we won the double. We got the Champions League and the Premiership. And people say, should he get? If Harry is willing to sign up for $150 a week, we should give him another year. And he can. Anytime we got to go with teams that are dominant with the ball, City possibly, Chelsea, there's always will be a place for Harry to play. He's better in the middle, 80% of the game than De Ligt is. De Ligt is not a dominant center back. He's good, but he's not a dominant. But he can do everything else. So he needs that, and I think it helps him. He just can't play out there all the time on the right. He can't do it because he'll end up getting a lot of muscle injuries because he's crazy, and I love him. So when I said in my video yesterday is that we have to look at Harry Maguire at the same cloth, the same ilk of Palliser, Bruce, and Vidic. He is at that same level. He hasn't won a Premiership, but you have to understand he was so dominant, and he was our player of the year that year we got to your Europa League final. If Dave would have just staved one of those, we'd have won that, and he would have that on a CV. He's won the FA Cup. He's won the League Cup. He wasn't there when he won it before, I don't think. With Maguire, with Jose. No, I don't think so. No, I think Holy got him. I don't know. Anyway, it just, like I said, our banter last 10 years would be a great result for 80% of the people in the Premiership, maybe 90%. We still got 4 or 5 trophies. So, and he's gotten them. And he was instrumental to get us to the Europa League final last year. It's just unfortunate that we played shit and we had a bad goalkeeper. If Lemons would have been our team last year, we'd have won that. But anyway, so let's just talk about Cunha. Great game, probably 8 or 9 type of out of 10 thing. My only issue with him, and I know part of his thing is he has to carry the ball in. But if he just gets his head up a little bit, there are guys open. And if he can do that, I think that he can get the ball back. Get out to Ahmad, give it to Mbambo. I can't say his name. Brian. Or go on the other side and give it to Dorgo, whoever's on that side. And just continually go to the goal, and you're going to get it back. But, I think that what he did yesterday was necessary. And he is clearly a Manchester United player. He has not scored a goal. I don't think he's got an assist. but he's played very, very well when he's played. His problem is that he likes to be and I guess we have to have that, right? You have to have the main character. We have to have that, like Cantona was. So it's nice that we have it, but it's just interesting what we're going to do with him. And I think that against Brighton, I think that Sesko will start. And then you'll get Brian and Cunha playing up there with him. And that's just interesting for Mount. But it might be okay for Mount, so he can't play every game. And he'll probably come in later in the game. He came out and he played 60 minutes. And, he wasn't not a threat, but he does the stuff like Phil Neville used to do. These guys, Fletcher, that they are a gnat to the other team. And as soon as he went off, they had a lot more chances. They absolutely did. Still that the substitutions were good, and we deserved something from that game. And fortunately, we have the luck on our side. We haven't had a lot of luck this year in a lot of ways. So I think that's all I want to talk about. I just think it's, again, if it's Manchester United, you have to write it down, and you lead with it, and you'll just continually say that we didn't deserve anything, and we won't talk about Liverpool at all. We can't say anything about Liverpool. And again, if we'd have went there and they just dominated us, and we got a cheeky late goal to get a draw or a win, I would have said we didn't deserve anything. And I said I think the most of the creators that I'm not really, but would say the same thing. We deserved to win that game. We just dominated them in our own way. And this is how you can do this. People say you can only play a certain way. No, he said that when he came in against certain teams, we're going to play 5 in the back, and that's what we did. But we still, those players, when we had the chances, they were all on the other side of the field. Delot had a chance. He had a ball that went in the air. That's the one we should have scored as well. We had 3 or 4 shots at that same time, and it ended up to Delot, and he almost missed the entire thing. And Dorgu, when he came in, was a threat. I think it was masculine. It was a really good coaching job by Ruben Amorim. But I hate it when former players sit there and call him like Ruben Interim. Every fucking coach is interim at this point then. And what happens if Liverpool wins 2 or loses 2 or 3 more in a row? Are you going to... Ruben hasn't done that. He hasn't lost 4 in a row. But I guess... I don't care. That's all in the past now. And we're going to see them again at Old Trafford again. So we're going to see them again, and they might be better at that point. All these great players might come back together and be dominant. We'll see. And the question I just want to say to the people out there, where do you think we'll finish in the Premiership? You got to take the red tinted glasses off after that win yesterday. But where do you think you're going to do? Do you think that some of the teams that are up there in the top 5 or 6 right now are still going to be there? Because that always happens. You have a dark horse that's in the top 4 for a while, then they fall out. I think there's a real opportunity for us to, because I really think 80 points wins the league, unless Arsenal goes on a run or City goes on this crazy old runs they used to do in the past. It could be 78 points to win the league. And if we win a couple more games, if we can win against Brighton, that'll give us 16 points out of 9 games. And if we can somehow go on the road, if Forest will have their new manager, I've seen them play. I don't think that's an issue. We just have to show up and play well. You could be with 10 games with 19 points. And that puts us really close to 2 each game. And if we do that, we're obviously in the top 4 discussion. But of course, there's going to be valleys and mountaintop. It's just going to be how it is. But I think I'm not going to say this should be the turning point. It should be. But we've had several false storms in the past. All I can say is that we've played well this year for the most part. And we probably should have a few more points than we have. We should be probably right there. 16 points, I would think, would probably what we deserved. When you think about it, the first game, we should have got something out of that. Fulham, we should have won that game in the first half. So that you're talking about no points and 1 point, and that's 6 points. If we get a draw and a win there, that's 4 points, and put it on what we have, we'd be sitting at 17 points. So, yeah, and that's why I was never really that concerned. I did say after Brentford, I thought that this might be the first time that I think it's time for him to go. But again, I was wrong, and he might lose by December. He might be gone. The same with my Florida State team. We beat Alabama. Now Alabama's won 5 in a row, and now they're top 4, and we've lost. We haven't won against a good team since we beat Alabama. They're all close games, but we're probably lose our coach today. It's probably already happened, and I don't know how we can afford to give him $50 million to leave. If it wasn't about Penn State and what's going on there, ours would probably be the biggest story. After beating Alabama, who's now won against good teams, everybody said they've won 4 against top-ranked teams, and I'm like, they played their own conference. So, anyway. Let me know where you think we'll finish this year. I still think we're going to be in the top 6. Depends if we get a couple good results and none of the other teams go crazy. This team can give some challenge. I don't necessarily believe in Arsenal, but they're 6 points ahead of us, and we're going to play them now at their place. It could be one of the biggest games of the year if we're within striking distance of them. But I would still say Arsenal and Man City are the top 5 favorites right now. And the question is, will we finish above Liverpool? And if that happens, can we go back now and tell these people now, you said that we were just fighting for relegation, that this was our Super Bowl, and this is how small teams go in and do stuff like that. I know you're trying to be funny and edgy, but we're Manchester United. And you're still going to talk about us no matter what, because that's what gets you clicks. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments, and we'll talk about it there.